Bessie's Boil by Robert W. Service. Says I to me missus, "By goom, lass, you've something I see on your mind." Says she, "You're right, Sam, I've something. It happens to be on me behind. A boil, as 'ud make Job jealous, and it hurts me for fair when I sit." Says I, "Go to hospital, they might have to cut it a bit." Says she, "I just hate to be showing that part of me person it's at." Says I, "Don't be fussy. Them doctors see sights more horrid than that." So the missus goes off togged up tasty, and there at hospital door they tell her to see the house doctor, whose office is room 34. So she hunts up and down till she finds it, and she knocks, and a voice says, "Come in." And there's a handsome young feller in white from his heels to his chin. "I got a big boil," says my missus, "and it hurts me no end when I sit. And Sam, that's me husband, has asked me to ask you to cut it a bit." Then blushing, she plucks up her courage, and bravely she shows him the place. And he gives it a proper inspection, with a heap of surprise on his face. Then he says, with the accent of Scotland, "What ye hae is a bile. I can feel. You'd better consult the high doctor. They call him Professor O'Neill. He's special for biles and carbuncles. You'll find him at room 63. No charge, ma'am. It's been a rare pleasure. Just tell him you're coming from me." So the missus, she thanks him politely and hunts up and down as before, till she comes to a big handsome room with Professor O'Neill on the door. Then once more she plucks up her courage, and she knocks, and a voice says, "All right." So she enters, and sees a fat feller with whiskers, all togged up in white. "I got a big boil," says my missus, "and if ye will kindly permit, I'd like for to have ye inspect it. It hurts me like all when I sit." Then blushing as red as a beetroot, she hastens to show him the spot. And he says with a look of amazement, "Sure, ma'am, it must hurt ye a lot." Then he puts on his specs to regard it, and finally he says with a frown, "I'll bet it's as sore as the devil, especially when you sit down. I think it's a case for the surgeon. You'd better consult Dr. Hoyle. I've no hesitation in saying your boil's a hell of a boil." So the missus, she thanks him for saying her boil is a hell of a boil, and she hunts all around till she comes on a door that is marked with Dr. Hoyle. But by now she's as fair got the wind up, and she trembles in every limb. But she thinks, after all, he's a doctor. I mustn't be bashful with him. She's made of good stuff as the missus, so she knocks, and a voice says, "Who's there?" "It's me," says my Bessie, and enters a room that is spacious and bare. And a wise-looking old feller greets her, and he too is togged up in white. "It's the room where they cut you," thinks Bessie, and shakes like a jelly with fright. "I got a big boil," says my missus, "and if ye are sure you don't mind, I'd like you to see it a moment. It hurts me because it's behind." Then thinking she best get it over, she hastens to show him the place, and he stares at her kind of surprised-like, and gets very red in the face. But he looks at it most conscientious, from every angle of view, and he says with a shrug of his shoulders, "Poor lady, I'm sorry for you. It wants to be cut, but you should have a medical bloke do that. Say, why don't you go to hospital, where all the doctors are at? You see, ma'am, this part of the building is closed on account of repairs. Us fellers is only the pinters, a pinting the halls on the stairs." This is Humberto Reepeesnap, and that was Bessie's Boil by Robert W. Service.